How you going, guys? You're back with Jono for another quick math lesson. Today we're going to find out that sometimes the factorisation techniques that we've been using to get rid of these quadratic trinomials don't work. We've been given great numbers for the last couple of videos and we've been absolutely killing the skills in order to factorise these. But you know when sometimes you're like, oh, I guarantee that there's no two numbers that multiply to this last one and plus together to give the middle. And then after a little bit of time, or when one of your mates goes, oh, it's this, you're like, oh, that's so easy. Unfortunately, there are times where this can't happen. So in this example here, we've got 8x in the middle and 11 at the end. 11 is a prime number, so the only numbers that multiply to give 11 are 11 and 1. But there's no way I can make them add together to give 8. So this is where this kind of factor of the last two and sum to give the middle doesn't work. So this is where we cannot find a good factor. But there is hope, okay? So instead of kind of giving up and just going, oh yeah, that's simplified, we can actually change the equation to give us something that we know how to work with without really changing the equation. This is kind of like a little bit of mathematic magic by changing something to make it easier without really doing anything. So the idea is quite simple. If I add something to an equation and take it away at the same time, have I actually changed anything? The idea behind this is kind of like if you and your brother get, let's say you get some chocolates for Easter and your brother gets 10 chocolates. If you eat 5 chocolates, right, that's obvious, you've done that. But if you replace the 5 chocolates afterwards, have you changed anything? If you get him the same ones, in his mind, 10 chocolates at the start are the same as the 10 chocolates you gave him at the end, but there's nothing, something has happened in that middle step, but the end result is the same. So this same idea can work for these quadratics. So for this one, we've got x squared plus 8x plus 11. I want to add something in that I know I can factorise and take it away at the same time so I don't change the actual equation. So what I want to do is I want to make it a perfect square, if possible. So here I've got x squared plus 8x. When we're talking about our squares, our perfect squares, if I add 16 to this, I know that I can factorise that into x plus 4 squared. The reason I knew it was 16 is that I've halved the middle number, half middle, and then squared. So x squared plus 8x, I'm going to add 16. But because I can't just change an equation willy-nilly, I've got to take it away straight immediately. So that plus 16, I took it away, so I haven't really changed anything. I've just added it in to make it seem a little bit easier. And I can't forget that there was a plus 11 at the end there. So now I've got the same thing that I can factorise and I can simplify at the same time. So if I factorise this whole front bit, that becomes x plus 4 squared, and minus 16 plus 11 is minus 5. So this looks like I'm almost done, but there is one step more that I can do in order to use this information a little bit easier. So in here, I do kind of have a difference of 2 squares, if you kind of squint. So I've got 2 square numbers, 1, 2, and it's a subtraction, so it is a difference of 2 squares. So the difference of 2 squares is I square root this first term, and I square root this second term, and write it down as a plus b, a minus b. So the square root of x plus 4 squared is x plus 4. And I'm going to have that twice, so the x plus 4 twice. And then I've got to add on the square root of 5, which is the square root of 5, and I've got to minus the square root of 5. That there is my final answer. Okay, so it is a lot harder than the ones that we have been doing beforehand, but there is a kind of logical flow to it. If you are struggling with that difference of 2 squares step, please check out my video on this because I do go into examples where you have a square number that's not really 1. So the summary of the steps are, the first thing we've got to do is half and square the middle term. Okay, this is going to make it a perfect square. Then you've got to add that number and take it away immediately. So we're not really changing the equation, but we are making it easier for ourselves. Then we've got to factorize that first bit, which will just be a perfect square. So you're going to have x plus something all squared. And I want you to simplify that last bit as well. Then we've got to do the difference of two squares to put it into two nice brackets, which will be fully simplified. So we're going to have another example. So x squared plus 12x minus 7. 7 and 12 do not have anything that we can simplify easily. So for this, I've got to rewrite it, adding in a half of the middle number that is squared. So here I've got x squared plus 12x. Half of 12 is 6. Squared is 36. And then I've got to take that away immediately. Then I'm going to minus my 7. This here is now a perfect square, so I can rewrite that as x plus 6 squared. And then I'm going to simplify the last bit, which is minus 43. From here, I do just have to do the difference of squares. So I've got x plus 6, and I'm going to have that twice, plus the square root of 43, and minus the square root of 43. So while this whole thing seems quite complicated, and this has been a long video, if you can nail these steps down, it is just 1, 2, 3 lines of working. None of it is too complex, kind of mathematically speaking. It's just following that process along that will help you get 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5 for these kind of longer questions. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you later. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Congratulations on taking some time to get better at this algebra. I know it can be a little bit difficult sometimes. If you do need some extra work, remember there are some free worksheets linked in the description below, as well as the notes that came from this video, so you don't have to pause it and scribble them down. If you do get a second, please like and subscribe to the channel because there'll be new maths videos coming out every couple of days. Thanks so much. Have a good one.